Hey, it's James from Marketing for Restaurants here. Welcome to episode 156 of Secret Sauce, the Restaurant Marketing Podcast. 7 tips for restaurant yield optimization, part 2.
Some restaurants are quiet, lose money, and the owner works 70 hours a week. Other restaurants are busy, profitable, and the owners work a few hours a day. What's the difference? They have a secret sauce. Join James from Marketing for Restaurants as he helps you come up with your recipe for restaurant success. Your secret sauce.
Hey everyone, welcome back. This is part 2 of our yield optimization podcast duet. So if you're not sure what yield optimization is, go back and listen to the first episode. We covered it in quite a bit of detail. It's a concept that's come from the airline industry, and we talk about wasting assets, i.e. the seats in your restaurant, because if you don't fill the seat tonight, then you can never get that monetary opportunity back. That night's it's Thursday night here. Thursday night seat, that's not coming back. It's gone if you don't fill it. So yield optimization is all about using some cunning tricks to segment your market and to be able to get as many bums on seats as possible and charge them the right price. We don't want to be leaving any value on the table. You want to be creating great food, great value, great experiences, and getting a fair price for it. Last week, we really delved into one of my favorite concepts, which is, how many different restaurants can you have in one day? So segmenting the days of the week and looking at all of the opportunities that you've got, then segmenting the hours of the day. Who are the people that are going by? What is going on around you? What are all of those opportunities that you can use in your marketing to be able to get as many people in all through those times? And we also talked about the benefits of it. Long story short, you'll make more money. So let's get into the rest of our tips and tricks for restaurant yield optimization. Before we get into it, a couple of public service announcements. Firstly, if you're getting anything out of the podcast, then, do a couple of things. Leave a review on iTunes or your favorite podcast player. Tell one of your restaurant mates about it. Word of mouth is a really powerful tool for everyone, and we appreciate it when someone hears about the podcast. If you've got any questions or feedback, you can hit me up, either through Facebook or LinkedIn. Get some great feedback on LinkedIn, which is always exciting. If you do want to connect up on LinkedIn, just make sure that you say that you're a secret sauce. So I get a lot of randoms hitting up my profile, so I don't respond to all of them, but I do all of the secret sauces because they're epic people. Lastly, if you're struggling with your marketing, don't forget to think of us with our SEO Plus package, which is SEO plus the social media, really powerful tool for a fixed monthly cost. It's about getting a marketing team in your corner because you don't want to be the best restaurant that no one's ever heard of. And the other thing is our website audits. So if you're struggling to understand what it is that your website should be doing and what your website is actually doing and what the difference is, hit one of the team up for just one of our website audits. They're free, no obligation, and it'll really give you, and we're quite happy. At the end of the day, we're really committed to helping the restaurant industry. And so some people will take it and then they'll go back to their web developer and say, you need to fix these things. Fun fact, often it's more expensive doing it that way than getting us to rebuild an entire website, which is really quite a scary thing. But yeah, don't forget to think about us. That would be great. So the next one, which is an oldie but a goodie, but for some reason has seemed to have fallen out of favor with a lot of restaurant owners. It's the happy hour. Now, happy hour is important for a couple of reasons. Firstly, let's just say that you're going to start at 7 p.m. for your full dinner service. Obviously, the staff don't come in at 7 p.m. No, your front of house staff will be making sure that everything's all good out front, and at the back, you'll be cooking up a storm. You'll be doing all of your prep. So you're paying wages during this time. What about if you had some really simple dishes or some beverage opportunities, specials that would draw some people in? Back in the days when I used to travel around the world, which was epic, and I still don't even know when we're going to get back to that place. It's interesting because I think that some cities tend to do a much better job of the happy hour than others do. And it's for a number of reasons that you run a happy hour. The first one is, so you're paying wages but you're not potentially open. So what you want to do is you want to try and see if you can get people in. This is the critical thing. Now, your team is out there doing prep, so you don't want them to be cooking up a whole range of meals, which is why you have the special happy hour menu. They're going to be your quick to prepare, or even they're potentially in the fridge, but they're ready to go, simple to prepare, so that the team can get them out very quickly. That's the first thing. So you're going to be getting some revenue in some time when you potentially wouldn't be open. So that really does tick the box for yield optimization, because you're actually creating extra seats for the night. Now, the other thing is a little bit more esoteric. At 7 o'clock, when people start walking by and they're looking in your restaurant and it's empty, they go to another restaurant and it's half full. Well, obviously the locals know that that is the place to eat, so they'll go and eat there. The first table is often the hardest to fill, and your happy hour is going to give you the ability to get some people in so that the place looks like it may not be super pumping, but hey, this restaurant's got a bit of a following. Maybe we should go in there and check some things out. And so when those people come in, you want to put them up against the window so that people can see that there's people in there, because no one wants to be the first people in there. Doesn't have to be alcohol, although alcohol doesn't hurt. And, potentially if you structure it right, it could be that they'll come in for a small plate and then actually stay for the full dinner menu when that becomes available. And then, of course, you'll upsell them on a dessert as well. A well-constructed happy hour will generate people who are coming in a little bit earlier. So, and don't forget, as we split the day into all of the different hours, there's going to be people who are potentially passing by. Maybe they're coming home from work. Maybe you could drag them in for a quick drink, a little bit of light food before they go home to their family. You'll be bringing in some revenue, and you'll make the place look pretty popular for when you open your main service. And it's interesting, I always like to see a happy hour menu because, some restaurateurs really have some fun with it. Really creative, simple dishes that really start to get the crowds in. And, that first table is the hardest, so this is a great way of cracking the ice. Now, next one, this is a cracker, dynamic pricing. Boom. This is one of the things that people say, well, I don't know if we'd be doing dynamic pricing because I don't think that people would be happy to pay the price. Now, this is a really important thing. So let's go back to the roots of yield optimization, and that is the airlines. And it's very rare that you'll sit next to someone who's paid the same price for the seat that they're sitting in compared to you. And if you're doing multiple services through the day, then you're probably doing dynamic pricing. So dinner is usually, always more expensive than lunch. And that's because lunch is a different kind of thing. People are coming in, they're probably working, it's going to be a little bit quicker, it's not as big a meal. So the price for lunch is different. And the price for breakfast is usually cheaper than for lunch. And that's because people aren't prepared to pay the full price that they would pay for dinner for lunch. That would be crazy. Now, happy to be proven wrong. If you've got a really expensive breakfast menu that's super successful, then send it in. I'd be keen to have a look at that. So this is dynamic pricing. So it's dynamic through the day. Many restaurants, 70% of the revenue will come in on the 8 hours of Friday and Saturday night. And so then you want to be thinking about, so what's the limitation here? Why can't we be doing more? And it might be the number of tables, it might be the number of seats, it might be the number of the throughput of the kitchen. So those limitations there, what you want to do is to try and make it a little bit easier. Now, the easiest way to do this, because Friday night is Friday night. They've written songs about it. Same with Saturday night. There's Saturday night songs. They are special nights. That is when the premium should be. So what you could be thinking of doing is charging a premium for that. Well, how do you work that premium out? I think it's, usually good to go somewhere between 15 and 20%. That can make a huge difference to your profitability if 70% of your revenue is coming in on those 8 hours. If you put the prices up just on those times, then that can make a huge difference. So there's a couple of ways that we can do it. In some places where they've got a solid Friday and Saturday night, then you might discount the other nights because of the fact that what you want to do is you're going to want to pull some of those people into the other night so that you're getting a bit of money in, that there's not as much pressure on the kitchen and you're not turning people away, because you don't want to be turning 100 people away. I always think the correct number of people to turn away from your restaurant is 1. That means that you have optimally had a great night. There was only one person who got turned away because you were full. You know then that you had excess demand. If you turn away 200, just think of all the revenue that you're missing out on. So ideally, if you're busy all through the week, then try putting your price up 10, 15, 20%. Some restaurants will have a separate weekend menu so that they can clearly differentiate why it costs more. Uber does this as well. The Uber surge will be on when there's too many people wanting a lift and not enough drivers. And so they do that to try and drag more drivers out to be able to meet that demand. So this works well when you are turning people away on the average Friday and Saturday night. If you're struggling to fill it, then I would not be moving towards this. The first thing that you want to be doing is making sure that you've got excess demand on those busy nights. Number 4 on our top 10 list is events. And this goes back to that age-old question, how do you create a busy Tuesday night? And so running events, and we run events in our business, and my biggest fear is that no one's going to turn up. That's why I think most people don't run events. Probably going to do an entire episode on how to run successful events because it is a bit of an art. And when you see someone who is really good at it, you do need to dedicate quite a bit of time to it. But it can make a huge difference. If you've got a 100-seat restaurant and you can put 100 people into that restaurant on a Tuesday night, then you are highly likely to be profitable that week. Most people lose a fortune on the Tuesday night. So what you want to be able to do, particularly when you're looking at those fixed costs that you need to be paying for, running successful events, dragging people onto a Tuesday night, that is a really cool way that you can optimize the yield for your restaurant. And it's also one of those things, what you're doing is you're hoping to drag some of the demand away from your Friday and Saturday nights. Now, that depends on the type of event that you're going to have, but you might have my favorite is always something like a wine pairing or a spirits pairing, maybe a scotch pairing. So the chef comes up with a custom menu, which is great. You'll get a local whiskey supplier to come in, or even, if you're blessed to be close to a distillery or cursed, depending on your thought pattern there. But if you've got a local distillery, you can get them to come in. Their whiskey maker will tell the story of how the whiskey's made. They might sell some bottles of it at the end of the night. But the big thing is that you've got those pairings going on. You've got the different tastings. You've got 2 marketing lists that you'll be sending out to. And you've got lots of things that you can be talking about on your socials as well. So that's a pretty cool way of creating demand on a Tuesday night, which helps with your yield optimization. Now, something that often goes hand in hand with that is your local marketing collaborations. If you have a look along the street where you're in, it depends on the very hyper-local geography of your area as to how far out you'd be looking. What else is going on in that area? So local marketing collaborations, I'm thinking things like, obviously there's the cinema one. Now, and you don't even need to organize this with the cinema. You can just say, bring in your cinema tickets for tonight and we will give you this discount. Now, I've seen that done. The cinema actually doesn't, because I asked a restaurateur, how'd you get the cinema owner to agree to that? And he goes, I didn't. We just do it. It's a gimmick that they associate dinner and a movie. They want dinner and a movie. This ties them in to dinner and a movie. So all of those people who are going to go out and get a dinner and a movie, they've reduced the competition significantly by coming up with a custom offer. And it's a custom offer that no one else is going to be able to replicate because of the fact that they're going to go and talk to the cinema and they're going to say, no, we're not going to do that. So a really powerful way of doing that. But it doesn't just have to be cinema. It could be a local arcade. It could be shops. I think it's also really interesting when you have, if there's any classes that are being run somewhere in the local area, and it doesn't have to be too close. So the one that I like is language lessons. So if you run a Chinese restaurant and your staff all speak Chinese, then maybe on a Tuesday night, you could get the local people who are learning Mandarin to come in, and the product that you're actually going to offer is the ability to order in Mandarin. 我想要一杯红酒. Your staff will be able to laugh at that and be awfully confused. It's a really cool thing because it's on a Tuesday night, which most people are going to be like, I've got work tomorrow. But It's not about a simple transaction of getting food so that I'm not going to die of starvation. This is about, look at me, I'm practicing a foreign language. Really upping the stakes when it comes to the value that you're creating. And it's very easy, particularly if all of your staff speak the language of your cuisine. Very easy to do. Local marketing collaborations, have a think about those things. And of course, you would never do that on a Saturday night. Always going to be towards the front end of the week where you're going to be quieter. Now, the next one is an interesting one. What about having a premium product, something that you can charge significantly more for? And we see this. I know some restaurateurs, big believers that, there'll be people who will come in and they're going to buy the most expensive dish on the menu. And I've been out with a group of people that I was paying for and someone did that. I've got to tell you, when you openly brag about it, that doesn't go down too well. But there will be people who want to, either they want to impress it or they want to try it. So having a premium product, this is a little bit of menu engineering, but it doesn't have to be entirely about the food. It can also be potentially the seats. So chef's table, more expensive, which I find, it's quite interesting because often it's a less comfortable chair. You've probably got less space, but people are really quite willing to be able to get that voyeuristic experience of seeing people, particularly if you've got a kitchen where people are under pressure. Now, it's a little bit more complicated when you are running a chef's table because people have got to probably not too much swearing, and also it needs to be relatively clean. You can't have any untidiness or messiness or dirt because people are going to see that and they're going to be turned off. I've also seen it with window seats where they'll have, if you've got a spectacular view, there'll be places where, you can book for an extra cost. And this is no different to what the airlines do. If you want an exit row, they have to have an exit row so that people can get out, and they'll charge you extra for it. So window seats, chef's table. Either way, when you create that premium product, whether it's a table, whether it's a seat, or whether it's just the food, you want to be thinking about how you're going to describe that. So if you're going to put a premium steak in there, so you've got your general steaks, which you're quite happy cooking, and then you're going to have the Wagyu one. That's going to be the one, potentially it's going to have a photo, potentially it's going to have a video, potentially you'll have a bit of description about there, comes from a local farm, it's got this fat score, it's got this kind of marbling, and our chef prepares it in a special way. They're the things that are going to allow people to validate their choice in buying that premium product. Quite an interesting way of doing it. And then, of course, if it is your front of house people, your maitre d', would you like the chef's table? We have 2 seats left for that. So I could give that to you right now. Or make sure that your servers are pushing your premium products. Next one I quite like. In fact, I quite like it a lot. And I think it's really, if you're looking for that one trick that's a really quick way of increasing profitability, this is it. So pens out, get ready to write it down, put your prices up. Oh my God, everyone says it. Oh, we can't do that because up the road they're a little bit cheaper or their food's a lot better than us. Well, the interesting thing is that when we've spoken to restaurants on multiple occasions, much trepidation has gone before the actual prices go up. And then the interesting thing is that no one really notices. And that pricing difference, although it's small, we're talking 5% here, you could see a 50% increase in your profit. If your profit margin is 5% and you put your prices up 5%, then you're gonna double your profit. That is a huge difference. One of the key things I think here is to really look back at the value engineering, look at the way that you are articulating the value that you provide for your customers. Because if there is something that creates value for your customers, then articulating that clearly to your customers so that they know about it, giving them a mechanism to come back, they're the things that create that inelastic demand where it doesn't really matter what the price is within reason. People often aren't going to notice that 5 or 10% increase that you might be thinking about putting on the menu. It could be the way that you describe the meals. It could be the way that you clean up the place so that it looks a little bit more presentable. It could just be that smile on the waitress when she comes to take someone's order. particularly for your regular customers. All of those sort of things really go into what it is going to happen when you put your pricing up. And I've seen it happen where a restaurant has put their prices up 5% and 2 weeks later they put them up 5% again because literally no one said anything. And the only thing, revenue went up 5%, profitability went up 50%, and then they go back 2 weeks later and they put their prices up 5% again. Now, the tragedy of that, wow, how long have they had those prices for? This is another important thing. You've got inflation, you've got increasing costs for your staff, you've got increasing costs for your food inputs, your rent's been going up, all of those sort of things. Absolutely critical to be at least every 12 months reviewing the prices that you've got in there. And you should be putting that price rise on because, many of the customers will be expecting it. And particularly if they're getting a pay rise, which they probably are, then they're going to have that extra discretionary cash. But I find it's interesting. I've spoken to more than a couple restaurant owners who have been too scared for one reason or another to put their prices up over the period of like 5 years. Now, in Australia, you've probably got 15% inflation over a 5-year period. That means that the value of your product has gone down 15%. Actually, I just fact-checked myself then. 7.8% over 5 years in Australia. So inflation's only been 1.5%. But still, you don't want to be taking a 1.5% pay cut every year. So you want to be thinking about what you can do. And particularly, you need to be looking at that level that customers are going to say, well, this is a bit too expensive. I might go somewhere else. If you're not at that point, then you should be thinking about putting your prices up. One of the really good times to do that is if you're going to introduce a new menu. So people aren't going to really notice it. If you're taking one menu item off and putting another menu item on, just making sure that you're doing that costing to get the pricing right and put a little bit of a buffer in there to make that item just that little bit more profitable for you. Number 8. Now, I know we're only going to do 7, but you know what I'm like? I always like to underpromise and overdeliver. Different menus per night. Now, in Australia, this is a really big pub thing. I've seen it in lots of places around the world, though, where you'll have a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday night special. The key thing with this is to really push it because it can be a little bit samey, where, they're doing in Australia to be the, Tuesday night, Palmer night. Make sure that it's a deal that's going to get people in and then use that opportunity to upsell. But also make sure that you want to have those items as being strong. I've been to a restaurant that had 5 different types of parmas. They were all really quite good. And the thing I liked about it was that you always had a reason to go back there. That makes it pretty cool. Specialty pizzas, some sort of potentially a discounted meal. But one of the things that I think is, and I've seen it from some really smart people who I quite admire, is rather than having that discounted parma or the discounted steak or the fish, what about doing something a bit more complicated, something that you would never think about cooking on a Friday night because you're just flat out? What about having something that's going to look great, be amazing on your socials, and really draw customers in because you know that you're only going to be at 50% capacity? This is a way of getting those people in. It's something that you wouldn't be able to do on a Friday and Saturday night. So once again, you're optimizing your opportunities there by having that, that's something special, something that is going to draw people in, rather than just a special pizza or a special parma. Lastly, on our list, number 9 is birthdays. So are you collecting the birthdays of your customers? And if you want to go a little bit further, you can collect anniversaries as well. But I think, birthdays is a key one. One thing that I like doing, and so obviously there's some sort of deal. I think, bring 3 of your friends in and your main meal is on us. That works really quite well because that way, you know that they're going to bring a group of people in. Not that many people would celebrate their birthday by themselves, but they may do it with just their partner. So bring 3 other people in and your main meal is free. You're getting a free feed. And we'll give you a quarter off the bill as well. I've seen that work. That works even better, of course. So have a think about what the birthday campaign is that you want to run. I think it's a really powerful thing. Now, one thing that you can do to supercharge it is, come in within a week of your birthday and we'll give you this. Come in on your birthday and we'll also give you that. Now, the reason that we do this is that most people are going to celebrate their birthdays on a Friday or Saturday night. We know that. But when someone sees that offer, they're going to say, oh, my birthday's on a Tuesday night. Maybe I will come in. So this is the opportunity of not only getting them to come back to your restaurant because they're in your database so that they've already come back. They've already been in that one time. This is the opportunity to get them to come in on their actual birthday. And you've got a 5 in 7 chance that that day is not going to be a Friday or a Saturday. So a really nuanced little trick there to get people to come in outside of your peak hours, not every time. So 2 out of 7 times they will be coming in on a Friday or Saturday night. But that's okay. You want to have strong Friday and Saturday nights. This is a good way, though, that you can pay a little extra money in your marketing budget, which, if it's a free dessert that you're going to be giving away, or maybe it's a free bottle of wine, whatever it is, you've got a 5 in 7 chance that they're not going to be coming in on a Friday or a Saturday night. So that's it. We've this is yield optimization. I'd like to think it's at its best. Have I missed anything? Is there some little trick that you've got? Feel free to let me know. My job is to talk to as many restaurant owners as I can and find out all of those tricks and just share them with as many people as possible, because we know that the people who are listening to the podcast, they're in usually the top quarter of the industry, because they're the ones who are committed to professional education in the industry. Yeah, so I'd love to hear if you've got anything else that can help with yield optimization. So first one, we've got happy hour. Then we looked at dynamic pricing, and you'll see more in the dynamic pricing space. I know that you will see more because I think it's a product that's time is going to come. Events, think about the events that you can be running. Local marketing collaborations, what is going on around you and how could you use that to help grow your revenue? Premium products, whether it's food, whether it's the location within the restaurant, there's lots of other things that you can do around that. So have a think about that. Putting your prices up, it's a great way. It's a little bit of a blunt instrument, but it works. I've seen it work. And I've seen restaurants that needed to do it that went out of business. So not putting your prices up when you need to, that can kill you. So sometimes it's a matter of life and death. So really important there. Different menus on the nights, and think about, go for the more complicated things, the things that you wouldn't normally try on a Friday, Saturday night. Have a play with that on Tuesday night and give some people a reason to come in. And last but not least, birthdays. That's it. I hope you've got something out of it. I'm sure for most people, you'll have heard of some of these things. For some people, you might have only heard of one or two. But once again, it's just that refresher, get you thinking about the business. And I think this is one of those things you'll manage to find the extra time if you've worked out where personally you want to be in 5 years, and then you make sure that your business plan works to provide what you need to be personally happy. And then with your business plan, you've got to make sure that you've got a marketing plan that sits underneath that so that it is going to deliver you the customers and the profits that you need to be able to achieve what it is personally in your restaurant. That's about it. I hope you have a really busy week. If you're still in the horrors that are COVID, please stay safe. It's very interesting. In Australia, we're doing quite well at the moment, but it seems to be resurgent around the world in many places. So definitely stay safe, and hopefully you're super busy. Bye.
Want more customers for your restaurant, cafe or takeout? Every month, our marketing tools and information are used by thousands of restaurant owners just like you to help them find more customers and turn them into repeat customers. All of our tools and information is designed specifically for restaurant owners. We know you don't have a lot of time to spend marketing or learning complicated procedures, so our tools are quick and easy to use. If you're looking to increase your revenue and profits or want to work less hours, check out marketingforrestaurants.com.